Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. That over there is at Fuzzy Chris 91, Christopher Merez. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. We're back to regular hockey as of last night. Olympics are behind us. It was a nice 3 weeks of international fun. But now, as of last night, back to our usual slate here. A 12-gamer tonight, so a nice full Thursday. Going to talk some futures today. Going to give Chris maybe work out a trade in our fantasy league live here in a minute. See how that goes. But just nice to have hockey at night again. I will say that.
I mean, sure, I guess. Yes. For those of you who live on the West Coast, must be nice to have something to watch. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit sad because I had to watch the Seattle Kraken. And that's an experience. You know, you go from watching the best players in the world playing, and then you're greeted with Seattle being unable to score goals. The Kings basically losing to a AHL franchise. And I'm like, man, hockey is definitely back. Connor McDavid being reminded that the reason he doesn't have a Stanley Cup is because the team can't defend. Doesn't really matter who's in goal. And he's got to answer the worst questions in the world. So I was like, yeah, hockey is definitely back, man.
We just kind of picked up where we left off in that regard.
Yeah, listen, the Olympics was here for a good time, not a long time. I've gone back to hating the regulars. So, it was nice to have you around, Tom Wilson, but now stay away from my guys.
Exactly. Now we're back to the no more buds just because we're playing on the same country. Back to team allegiances, at least for the rest of the year. Also, 8 days from the NHL trade deadline. So next Thursday, we will focus heavily on previewing the trade deadline. And then next Friday, I believe Slapshots will be the Slapshot podcast will be trade deadline coverage. Are we going throughout the day like last year, or are we limiting this year?
No, I took the whole day off. It's a national holiday. I gotta make sure I gotta watch the Leafs be sellers, and I gotta watch and see what the Montreal Canadiens are gonna add to their lineup. So I need most of the day for that, probably 10 a.m. Eastern to about 5 p.m. Eastern as well. Kind of get full set of day in. We'll see how the day goes. Maybe play some games, do some stuff, break down some of the trades in real time, tell you if they're good, pick a winner and a loser, how that affects your fantasy lineup. Just a whole bunch of day of fun. See all the people who come in and tell me that trade was good when in reality it's not. I remember last year some dude was like, yeah, that Brandon Carlo trade was fantastic. And I'm like, buddy, I can't believe you paid Fraser Minton in the first for Brandon Carlo. And lo and behold, a year later that trade looks like an absolute L for the Leafs. So I'm excited to see what other general managers make some bad deals come 3 p.m.
Now, we did see a trade earlier in the week, the Avalanche acquiring Brett Kulak from the Penguins for Samuel Girard and a 2028 second-round pick. So clearly Colorado getting some sandpaper on that blue line for what they anticipate to be a tough run all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Pittsburgh getting a young defenseman. I wouldn't say young, but youngish defenseman on the rise, can move the puck. Certainly in addition for their blue line. We'll have complete trade deadline preview next week. But before we get to our 4 futures that we're going to discuss today, in the fantasy hockey league we're in, I need to move a center for a left wing / right wing. Either or, doesn't matter. I do have some pending offers out there. Let's see here. Marek saying hi, checking in before the show. He wants to know who the Habs are trading. Well, we're going to have to find out. We'll see what they do next week. Give it a couple more days. But I know you're a Logan Cooley guy. So I'm interested, and you're a guy that maybe could use some face-off wins. So I'm seeing if there's any interest here for Logan Cooley for somebody with a winger eligibility on your roster. I know who I have in mind, but I want to see if there's even interest there.
You're pulling on my heartstrings here, aren't you?
Listen, sometimes
you came prepared, didn't you?
So I'm in a fantasy baseball league with a lot of Met fans. So I know if I have a Met, I can potentially peddle that person for a little bit more than maybe in a completely different league that's not loaded with Mets fans. So same principle here. I know you like Logan Cooley, and I'm looking. I just need to get another wing. I have too many centers, but there's nobody I want to drop here. So I understand I'm in a position too where I have to maybe give up. But any consideration for Mr. Cooley here?
I mean, he would pair very nicely with my Dylan Gunther. So That's, you know what I mean. Let's which player did you want to try to siphon out of me here? How do you?
So he was the guy I was looking at, a Utah for Utah swap there, because I was trying to accomplish the same thing. But
I can't do that. I can't give you one Utah player for another. I got to pair them together.
So, like, looking at like, obviously Pasternak's not on the table. Cooley, Reinert's not on the table for Cooley. I don't love Zegras. A little too inconsistent for me, even in Philly. You know, Geeky, I don't know if you're willing to look at that.
You look like a man who would love Elias Pettersson. He's got wing eligibility. He's center. I mean, there's nobody else in Vancouver, and he's not going anywhere. And the Canucks are going to be trailing a lot once Tyler Myers gets out of there, because he's now a healthy scratch for trade-related reasons. Somebody's got to be on the ice there a little bit, right? Elias Pettersson can also block some shots. He's been doing some good. He's been doing some good things. I'm not saying he is, the absolute best. He wins faceoffs, right? The points are not exactly where it needs to be just yet, but I expect him to be playing a ton of hockey.
And obviously, like, Macklin Celebrini is a non-star. Like, that defeats the per. I
would need your like first child. I mean, everything, because then I'd have to pull on your strings, of course.
See, the only thing that concerns me with Pettersson is he hasn't scored a goal since January 13th. That's what worries me about him. Is he does check the box. I don't really lose in faceoffs there. It's a slight drop off. I don't know.
He had 7 block shots. I just want you to know against Winnipeg, and Winnipeg can't facilitate. Listen, I'm not saying Elias Pettersson should be there blocking shots, but you know what I mean? Like, he's buying in right now. He's turned into like the poor man's version of, I don't know, trying to find somebody who used to score a lot of goals, now doesn't, but does all the other box things, right? Can't even find one. He's a unicorn in himself. I understand the points are not there, though.
Now, is Gunther available or just off the table entirely?
I wouldn't move him for Cooley. I would pair them together. That's.
Now, is there any interest in a Ryan O'Reilly?
No, Ryan O'Reilly's old. I already have Steven. I already have.
That's true. You got a Predator.
I already have.
O'Reilly's going to get dealt. He's not staying in Nashville, so
which would hurt his value even more, because now he's going to go center a third line somewhere else. At least in Nashville, he still gets some power play time, right? Stamkos has triple position eligibility as well. Would you take Steven Stamkos for Logan Cooley? He fits all 3 of those boxes that you're looking for. I mean, he's got triple position eligibility. He seems to be having, a lot of fun now. He seems to be not terrible anymore. He doesn't block shots. He sometimes takes faceoffs. It's crazy inconsistent, though. But listen, you sound like a guy who wants to send over Logan Cooley for a Steven Stamkos.
It's something I'm considering. I don't know if we're gonna make it happen right now on the air, but I'm definitely considering that. Any interest in Eriksson Ek?
No.
Okay.
I can't get down that path, because then you're gonna siphon me for everything, because obviously he's a Minnesota one. I think we should just let YouTube decide. I think if we get one yes, then you have to trade Logan Cooley for Steven Stamkos. Just one yes from the chat, and that's it. We'll do it. Somebody's got to be the arbitrator here. You know what I mean?
It's a reasonable offer. I have another one that Gene countered one of my offers. I don't love who he wants back in that deal. I don't know if I'm willing to move he wants, but
do not trade with Gene. He is laying a beating into me. He's laying a beating into me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, of course you're going to say yes, because you're friends with Chris. Your buddies.
Absolutely. See, there we go.
Just supporting and I know you like me too. But if push comes to shove, I know whose back you got. So your yes counts, but it doesn't count, Aaron. Now let's talk a little futures here, because we got about 20. We got about 20 minutes before we get to our picks here. So first, I want to talk about, and I tried to pick some stuff that maybe still had some intrigue to it here. And looking at the Pacific Division odds, and this was going into yesterday's action. Obviously no Calgary or Vancouver on here. No need to waste our time with those long shots to win the division. Vegas still a favorite here at -180. Edmonton second at 5-1. Anaheim set plus 750. The Kings 9-1. Kraken 25-1. Sharks 45-1. No interest in the Sharks. for the division, maybe to make the playoffs. No interest in the Kraken for the division, maybe to make the playoffs, but I think reality will set in for them down the stretch and they'll kind of fall down in the standings a bit. Kings, no Kevin Fiala. That even if you were thinking maybe that, I know they got Panarin in there, but Panarin was supposed to be in addition to what they have, and now it's kind of like, okay, he kind of just takes the spot that Fiala's leaving behind to a degree. Do you look at an Edmonton or an Anaheim to maybe steal the division, or is Vegas just kind of like, look at what Vegas did last night without half their roster? They still going to beat the Kings. Is it a foregone conclusion they're winning the Pacific, or do we maybe Edmonton or Anaheim makes a run?
Here's the thing, though. Like everything about the just Vegas in general, they're not a great team. They're just the least terrible of the gang. Like that's it is what it is. They're the least terrible. I will say this though. I get that it's like they're right there, right? The Ducks are 5 points behind. It's like they have the I don't even want to say the best goaltending out of, between Aiden Hill, Jerry, like those all can do a spot. And the problem is Anaheim is just so inconsistent. They go on this run and then they are absolutely terrible. Seattle is also right there, but they're just like, they're frauds. That team's not they're not a real hockey team. The Kings can't score. It doesn't matter who they bring in. That system that they have in place, great defensively, can't score. I want to believe that San Jose can. They just, again, the goaltending is just not consistent enough. I would take a small shot at the Ducks, though. They have the better goaltending. The defense, can maybe hold up. They just got to find a little bit of consistency.
Vegas has won the Pacific Division in 2025, 2023, and 2021 and 2018. So no strangers there. Edmonton has not won the division since it became a Pacific Division. And Anaheim Ducks haven't won it since 2017, but they won the division 5 times in a row during that run. I don't know if I trust Edmonton to win the division, but Anaheim, the problem I have with them is they're streaky. They'll be dominant for 10 games and then they'll look awful for 6 games. So if they can balance that out a little bit, maybe they can close that gap. I still think it's Vegas to lose. Looking at I want to see how many head-to-heads we have in the Vegas schedule to see
but
how
like
many.
they were still. Did Leo Carlson play yesterday?
He came back in the lineup last night. I think he had a goal to assist. So
you know what I mean? Like they have the pieces. I think Leo Carlson getting hurt kind of didn't help them off. If not, they're a young team that can do something, right? They're capable of it, right?
Now Vegas has 3 meetings with Edmonton left. They are all done with the Ducks. It looks like going through their schedule here.
I would put, like, to me, I feel like it's the Ducks. If they're healthy, they have enough leadership, they have enough skill on the ice to do it. Again, if I had to pick a goalie out of those 3 teams on the left, it's Dostal. That's the guy. That's the guy who gives it the best chance. So again, and I mean, listen, I watched the Edmonton Oilers play yesterday. Defensively, it's just a struggle. It's not good.
I'll say this: Vegas probably still wins the division. If I had to pick between Edmonton or Anaheim, I take Anaheim. But Vegas has not beaten the Ducks at all this year. They are 0-1-2 against Anaheim. So that maybe is somebody they don't want to see in the second round. Maybe they hope Edmonton and Edmonton can take care of business against Anaheim in the first round. We'll see how the Pacific shakes out there. But 3 teams on your left is the way to go. The next future I want to discuss, Hart Trophy odds. And yes, it's Nate McKinnon minus 240. Next up is Macklin Celebrini plus 420, Nikita Kucherov plus 650, Connor McDavid plus 850. Another thing I saw was McKinnon is, you want to take McKinnon at minus 240, that's fine. You could take him at minus 240 or the field at plus 178 if you wanted to just kind of combine those others. Is McKinnon, if he stays healthy and continues to play the way he normally plays, is he winning the Hart Trophy? Or is this a situation where if the Sharks find their way into the playoffs and Celebrini keeps producing it the way he is this the best number we're going to get on Macklin the rest of the way?
I do think that's the best number we'll probably get. It's unfortunate that because I don't believe the Sharks have to make the playoffs in order for him to get it. It's just he is like just so much better than the rest of his team in terms of production, right? Like the Sharks are flirting with a lottery pick if Celebrity's not on that team, right?
Flirting. No, they are in bed with a lottery pick without celebrating.
They're right in it, you know what I mean? And I mean Nathan McKinnon has been dominant all year. He has been dominant, and it's crazy that he hasn't won it. And then on the other side, I mean Nikita Kucherov just
Keeps going.
the man is unstoppable. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have gone through some injuries, right? Like they've been without Braden Point, Cirelli got hurt. They were without Victor Hedman, but Nikita Kucherov is there, and he had a really slow start to the year. It was not good, and now he is just taken off. He is the straw that stirs that drink. The Tampa Bay Lightning go as far as he goes, and he elevates everybody's game. Like there are players on that team that are having a career year, and Nikita Kucherov is a massive part of that. So I would I would sprinkle a little bit on Macklin Celebrini and Nikita Kucherov because I feel like those odds are just they're too far away from what McKinnon has done. And I don't want to say the Colorado Avalanche would still be a very good hockey team if McKinnon missed like an extended period of time, but I don't think the drop off would be as big. And that's no disrespect to McKinnon. That's just how good the Colorado Avalanche are as a team, which I think like it's weird to say hurts his odds. You know what I mean? Like that team is stacked, and we're looking at it, go, yeah, well, if he wasn't there, it would make it would, but they wouldn't necessarily just collapse because they're so well structured.
I think McDavid is a victim of he just consistently produces so well that like his numbers are just like, yeah, whatever. Like you just take them for granted as good as they are. So the only way I think McDavid gets back in this conversation if he just goes on and it's possible because he's got to be super pissed off the way the last 2.5 years have gone for him. So maybe that sparks him to some ridiculous run to close the next 2 months here, and he vaults himself up towards the top of that. Now, just to illustrate your point and have some parallels there between Celebrini and Kucherov, Macklin Celebrini, 28 goals, 53 assists, is good for 81 points. Second on the team, Will Smith, 17 goals, 22 assists, 39 points. So a 42-point gap from first and second. Now, yes, Will Smith has missed 13 games this year. So fine, you want to give him another 6-7 points he would have played. That's still a very large gap. You look at Tampa.
He's still set. Like Will Smith is still second on that team in scoring, having missed all that time. Like that's like it's Celebrini, and then it's the rest of those guys.
After that, it's Wenberg, Toffoli, and Eklund rounding out your top five. In Tampa Bay, it's a 34-point gap from Kucherov with 94 points to the second best on the team, Jake Gensel, 26 goals, 34 assists, 60 points. So Jake Gensel, Brandon Hagel, also Cirelli, Point when they're healthy, but it's Kucherov there. I think at this point, McKinnon is still probably he would have to have a bad slump. But if Celebrini keeps playing this way, man, it's tough to ignore that, especially if they get into the playoffs. He's taken the league by storm. He only elevated his stock at the Olympics. Listen, I get that has nothing to do with the NHL Hart Trophy, but it's voted on by people. People watch the Olympics. That is going to be in their brains when they vote, even if you're supposed to separate that entirely.
Can't believe all three of those players formed a line on Team Canada, and somehow it didn't result in gold.
I didn't even think about that. You have it.
Yeah, that's painful. But again, just for Celebrini, it's just the level that he's at the age that he is. He is carrying this team. They are not good defensively, right? San Jose. Their goaltending has been mediocre. I'm pretty sure the goal differential is negative too, and yet here they are just flirting with hope. And if Celebrini wasn't in that lineup, there would be no hope. So the Hart Trophy is the most important player to his team. So I don't think the San Jose Sharks have to make the playoffs for him to win it. If they did, that would just solidify it. But like if he finishes easily with over like 100 points or something, like How can you say no to him?
I think they need to make the playoffs, but I will acquiesce on this one thing. As long as the Sharks are in the mix until like the last 2 games of the season, I think that's good enough. But if they fade and the last like handful of games, 5 or 6 games, it's kind of known they're out, then I don't know if he would get it at that point. I will say I'm excited to go Saturday. It's Sharks Oilers Saturday matinee. So I get to see a little Macklin versus McDavid on Saturday afternoon with a couple of buds. So looking forward to that trip down to the Shark Tank there. We got 2 more we want to get to before we get to our picks here. We're talking futures on this edition of Total Hockey Now. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Up next is the Norris Trophy here. And Zach Werenski, we all talk about, okay, it's Cale Makar's award to lose. Cale Makar's award. Oh, well, he's not the favorite right now. He's a little behind Werenski. Makar even money. Werenski minus 120. Quinn Hughes is at 18-1. Lane Hudson 40-1. Bouchard also 40-1. Moritz Seider, a guy that we talked about maybe being in the mix for the Norris earlier this year, down to 80-1 here. Werenski too, and we talked about what Celebrini did on the Olympic stage and that how that might factor into Olympic voters' head. Same thing with Werenski there. Not that Makar had a great tournament too. Don't get me wrong. Same thing with Quinn Hughes, but I feel like it's almost Werenski's. Like he's got to get one at some point. He's just guy's going to score north of 20 goals. One of the best defensemen in the league, and I know it's again Cale Makar, but I think if this is another one where I think if Columbus gets in the playoffs, you give it to Werenski.
Man, that's like it's tough. I have to believe they give it to Werenski just because if he does score a ridiculous amount of goals, that's what
he's got 20 already. So
he does, and that is
30 games to go.
Yeah. And that is elite for a defenseman, by the way. Like let's not twist this. That's beyond elite at this point. I think that dark horse there is Quinn Hughes. I don't think he's as far as like those two individuals. 18-1 is like I don't think there's a distinct separation between Werenski, Makar, and Hughes. I think the betting market has decided that more. We'll see how Hughes finishes out the season in Minnesota. Obviously, it wasn't great when he was in Vancouver. The team struggled. He was hurt a little bit. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. If I wanted to sprinkle something, it would be on Quinn Hughes. I don't think there's a ton of value in the other two, though. Like it's a 2-horse race there. But, Makar's total has been, again, he's been elite since he showed up in the NHL, basically taking it by storm. That even though he's putting up these great numbers, we're like, yeah, that's what we're used to, right? And just the way Quinn Hughes plays, the defensive side of it is really, really good as well. I think that it shouldn't be 18-1. It should probably be closer. So that's where, to me, the maximum amount of value can be found.
I think what hurts him and why he's at 18-1 is, yes, he's extremely productive, but 3 goals, 31 assists. So that goal number very low, especially compared to Makar's 15 and Zach Werenski's 20 already on the season. 20 and 42 for Werenski. I think it's 15 and 43 for Makar. Yeah, 15 and 43 goals and assists for him. And here's another thing to factor in too. Matthew Schaefer is going to be on this list next year. He might creep his way into the top 6 before the end of the season, but he's a guy next year that's going to. It might be a problem between Werenski, Makar, Hughes, and Schaefer. Only one of those guys will not be a semifinalist every year. The same way for years with the Selke, it was always Kopitar, Bergeron, and Datsuk, and it's like you really couldn't go wrong. We're going to have a similar situation here with the Stars. But to your point, there's not too much value on Werenski and Makar at this point. If you're going to take a longer shot, to look at Quinn Hughes for sure. But I think he's going to need to get some more pucks in that if he surpassed those two.
First person in the comments, or if I read, say Evan Bouchard, you're banned.
Not even this year. Definitely not this year.
I don't care how many points he has. Watch him play defense. Cope.
I'm trying to see what the Schaefer odds here. If you really wanted to go crazy on that, as I'm trying to go down the list here. Let's see. Norris Trophy. Where's Matt? 300-1.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I mean, we talk about teams making the playoffs. If Schaefer goes on a run, it would be really tough to surpass the 3 on the left of the screen there. So, yeah, there we go with the Norris Trophy. And last but not least, the Vezina, which I found very interesting. Ilya Sorokin, the favorite at -120. Andrei Vasilevsky at +110. Logan Thompson at 12-1. John Gibson 30-1. Brandon Bussey 40-1. Swayman at 71. If the Islanders get in the playoffs, yes, it's a big part because of Sorokin. But the way Vasilevsky's been playing this year has just been absurd. He's on a credible 9-game run with the Lightning right now. You talk about Kucherov being important to that. Kucherov and Vasilevsky are the two cornerstones of that franchise right now. So if not a ton of value there, I mean, if we're looking for something a little more sexier and a long shot, it's not John Gibson because he's kind of come back down to earth over his last few starts. Talk about that in a little bit when we get to the Ottawa game and preview that. If Carolina keeps playing well and Bussy kind of, you know how those young goalies down the stretch, they get better. Sometimes they get better and better and better. People see that and Carolina runs away with the Metropolitan Division. I could see that. I don't know if Swayman at 70-1 makes sense, but yeah, Bussy or Vasilevsky would be my two on that list. See what the Islanders do the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's a long shot for Bussy. To think about it, the Edmonton Oilers could have had him for free, but that's not the path they wanted to go down. I just don't think Bussy starts enough games for it to make it count, which is unfortunate because the numbers he is putting up are video game like. They're just on a whole other level. And not to disregard anything that Vasilevsky has done. This is who he is, right? Like he is a future Hall of Famer. Ilya Sorokin has put up both the Islanders, by the way. Their goalies have saved them, I would say, because the Islanders' overall metrics are not very good. The Islanders' goals saved above expected for both their goalies is just through the roof, and Sorokin is a massive part of that. He is exactly the goalie we thought he was a couple of years ago. Last year was maybe a little bit of an off year. He seems to have found his game again. I do think Vasilevsky and not Vasilevsky. I do think Sorokin ends up winning it. I think that's the path most voters will go down. But if I wanted to sprinkle in some value, it's Bussy at 40-1, and I'm hoping Carolina just gives him more starts down the stretch. There's no reason for Freddie Anderson to be playing more than once a week.
So they have 5 back-to-backs the rest of the way, Carolina. If Freddie Anderson sees more than probably 7 or 8 starts, that's criminal. Because, like you said, video game numbers, 23-3-1 is his. 23-3-1 is his record. And I understand the team he has in front of him. That's insane.
He's still
23-3-1.
You still got to win, and you still got to put up numbers, right? Like, it doesn't matter what
percentage, 216 goals against.
That they're elite, and just the story behind it as well. Like, this guy was cleaned off waivers. You know what I mean?
I can see Carolina as they get down the stretch. Like, you don't want to overwork a young guy like that because you don't want him to hit that wall because a lot of these young goalies haven't played like 82 or plus game seasons in a long time. But man, and the other argument against Bussy would be if they have that much of a lead in the Metropolitan Division, I could see them, okay, let's keep you rested, let's keep you fresh. So that would be the argument against them. But if somebody starts to challenge them and maybe put a little heat on their heels, maybe they play him a little bit more. But yeah, Sorokin, Vasilevsky, Bussy. I don't see Logan Thompson getting it with the Capitals. Like I said, Gibson's coming back down to earth, and Swayman's too much of a long shot there. So going back through, we talked about the Vezina there. We talked about the Norris. We talked about the Hart Trophy, and we talked about the Pacific Division. So plenty of futures to get your fix right there. But it's a little bit early, but we got 12 games to get to, so we don't want to waste any time. So without further ado. I had a guy complain in the comments during our Olympic preview episode that we talked about the Panarin trade too long before we got to it. Now there'll be somebody that'll complain. You said 5:35 Eastern, and you started your first game at 5:33. How dare we?
So, apologies for talking about Artemi Panarin.
Not like he was a big piece to be moved before the deadline or anything. Nothing at all about that, right? So there we go. Thursday night. We're back to our Thursday night preview. 12 games on the board tonight. I know what I've got lined up for this slate. I don't know what Chris has lined up for the slate, but we'll certainly take a look here. Now, we're talking about Brandon Bussy and Andre Vasilevsky. Thursday 12-game slate. Let's just start with what's likely going to be an Eastern Conference Finals preview between the Lightning and the Hurricanes. Lightning are on a 6-game winning streak, 6-3-1 in second legs of back-to-backs this season. They are 21-1 over their last 22, which is the best record for a 22-game span in the NHL since 2020. Kucherov has an 11-game point streak. Hurricanes have a 10-game point streak. Looking at the goalie matchups for tonight, starting for Carolina is going to be Brandon Bussi, which we talked about, with Vasilevsky going last night against the Leafs. I would assume it's going to be Jonas Johansson. I doubt they're going to play Vasilevsky back-to-back nights here. If you're looking to make a bet on this game here, always got to refresh when I go to that, right? So looking at here, it'll be Carolina is favorite -148. Not off the they're not on a back-to-back, but Tampa is. Tampa plus 124. Total is 6.5. I'm staying away from this one. I would lean over, which does over 6 here, but this is one you just kick back, enjoy, and watch two high-quality hockey teams going at it.
I'm going to take the under here. I know there's a ton of skill on that ice, but this is the Tampa Bay Lightning playing the tail end of a back-to-back. First game for Carolina. We saw a lot of teams come out, kind of try to find their footing a little bit. Long break sometimes for certain guys. It doesn't get going. The last time these two teams met, they scored a bunch of goals. They had 10 total. I know your strategy doesn't work and it's been too much time, but I'm just going to stick with the under here. I just think the goaltending, like Johansson's proven that he can be good. Like we thought for the longest period of time, he was just there to like every once in a while play. The numbers are, again, they're not fantastic, but he hasn't been just a dumpster fire. The only thing I think that hurts us here is maybe one of those empty net goals pushes it, right? If it ends up tied 3-3. But I think Bussi can hold it down or at least steal one here. So I'm going to go with the under 6.5.
Under 6.5, because you have it at 6 and 6.5. So yeah, I would
under 6.5. I need that half one.
Insurance, yeah. -130 versus going 6 for -105. I totally get that. So I lean over, but don't love it. You got the under 6.5 -130. Let's get to game number 2. Blue Jackets of Bruins, which I actually think is kind of an intriguing matchup here with the way these two teams have been playing. Columbus is on a 7-game winning streak. Zach Werenski, 7-game point streak, 2 goals, 8 assists. Columbus has not allowed a goal over the last 146 minutes. So that's something to keep in mind. Bruins 7-game point streak, 4-0-3. Have a 9-game home winning streak in which they're outscoring opponents 39-16. Going to see Elvis Merzlikins versus Eunice Korpisalo. When you look at these two teams, you're like, oh, two bruiser grinder kind of franchises. No, I'm going over 6.5, even money. Bet Rivers. Columbus is about a 500 team either way on totals. Boston is 33-24 to the over, 16-14 to the over at home. Goalie matchup is what points me this way. Yes, both goalies were playing better heading into the Olympic break. For Merzlikins overall, a 3.48 goals against and an 8.88 save percentage overall. Korpisalo 3.11 goals against and an 8.94 save percentage here. So I'll take the over 6.5.
Yeah, since Rick Bowness took over this team, they have been better defensively, and I think Merzlikins' game has been better. The Bruins were involved in some heavy, high-scoring matchups before they hit the break. Both these teams are coming out of the break. Swayman's not going to be in action. It sounds like Charlie McAvoy is going to get an extra day as well. So I could see this one going back and forth. I don't have a ton of faith in Korpisalo. I'm not ready to get on the Elvis Merzlikins is good train just yet. 2 below average goalie. The Bruins are also one of the, like, true to form, one of the most undisciplined teams in the league. Like, no team has more penalty minutes than them. So if they get out there and start doing things that they shouldn't be doing, not that Columbus's power play is elite by any means, but, if you give them enough chances, they'll find the back of the net. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game back and forth. First time they're meeting. I'm right there with you. We're taking the over.
Speaking of power plays, Boston's got the 3rd best power play in the league right now behind Edmonton and Dallas. Looking at the penalty kills here for these teams, Boston is down below towards the bottom there. Columbus is kind of towards the bottom too as well. So special teams could make a difference here with the total. Both going with the over 6.5 here. And this one staying. Now we we'll stay in the Atlantic here. Bruins being home against the Blue Jackets. Red Wings Senators, 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop here. Red Wings have won both meetings against Ottawa so far. Senators have won 5 of their last 6. Looking like it's going to be John Gibson versus Linus Ullmark. Gibson was not confirmed as of earlier. Fresh and see if he is confirmed as of now. We know it's going to be Ullmark for Ottawa. And yeah, still nothing confirmed yet. I would assume it's going to be Gibson. The Red Wings went into the break a bit bumpy. They lost 4-6. Gibson, we talked about, has come down to earth a little bit over his last maybe 5 or so starts. Not that Ottawa is in a position to be looking ahead, but they do have the Battle of Ontario on Saturday night in Toronto. I would lean over in this matchup with both of their prior meetings being 7 or more combined goals, but I like the Red Wings on the money line plus 132 here. If the Red Wings are the team that we thought they were going into the Olympic break and somebody that's probably going to finish top 3 in the Atlantic, this is a game you got to have.
I think it's when John Gibson, is it when he's on the road, all of a sudden he becomes like this monster, this different beast? Like he wakes up and he just becomes something different. I don't know what's in the I don't know what's in his morning protein bowl, but it seems to be working. I'm just gonna stay away from it. There's too much. I don't trust the total, right? Gibson could again stand on his head, do what he needs to do. Same thing for Allmark, right? They're goalies that are just very, very volatile. Two teams that are coming out of the gate. Detroit doesn't really give up a ton of chances. They are very, very structured in how they play. They don't, it's not a ton of shots on goal, but they're stingy defensively, right? They give up 27. It's not a ton. Ottawa's been very good defensively as well. They give up even fewer shots, under 25 a game. So I don't see a ton of opportunities going either way. They're not teams that are heavily penalized either. So I don't think the power plays come out and do a lot of damage. I don't know which way it goes. So I'm just going to sit back and not watch this game.
To illustrate, to further your point about Gibson being a different goalie on the road, his record's about the same home and road, but a 3.14 goals against at Little Caesars versus a 1.95 goals against on the road. 874 save percentage in Motown, 935 save percentage on the road. So
I don't know what it is. He doesn't like the pizza at Little Caesars. That's the only thing that I can think of why he is so much worse at home. But even with that, I like an empty net goal kind of ruins it, right? So it's not enough confidence.
The total is I over, but I'll stay away from total. I like the Red Wings on the money line. I'm a big fan of that play. So plenty of 7:00 games to get to here as we roll through. We head down to Florida now, keeping it in the Atlantic Division. The Maple Leafs at the Panthers here. Nylander, 7 goals, 11 assists in his last 10 games. He had 4 assists in his previous 10. Florida has lost 5 of 6 and haven't won in regulation since January 25th. Obviously, the Olympic break, inflates that a little bit. Leafs are 4-3-2 in the back end of back-to-backs here. Looking at Joseph Woll versus Sergei Bobrovsky. If you're looking to make a play here on either side for the game, the Panthers, where'd they go? They have minus 162 favorites, Leafs plus 136, total 6.5. I'm staying away. This game is a mess in too many ways.
The only mess here is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Watching them play they barely put up an effort against Tampa Bay. They came on late, but they were down 4-0, and it was just not working defensively. It was not where it needed to be. On the road, it's just the Leafs are not a good team. They don't execute. They don't go out. It sounds like everybody for Florida is going to be participating, minus the regulars who aren't. Seth Jones, obviously, Barkov. I'm going to take the Panthers in regulation. I don't like Toronto on a back-to-back. I don't think they have the offense to do it. I know Florida is they are, they take penalties, but a lot of those penalty minutes for Florida is because they came against the Lightning. That's why it's inflated, because both those teams want to kill each other. So outside of that, even Toronto's power play isn't really, anything crazy. Panthers have a really good penalty kill as well. So I think the Panthers can take care of this in regulation. It might not be cute, but that's where I'm going with it.
All right, so you got Panthers winning regulation, minus 105. I'm staying away from this one. Still in the 7:00 window here. Islanders at Canadians. Here, Chris's team tonight. Looking at a 7:00 puck drop. Isles have won 5 of 7. Noah Dobson's first game against the Islanders since heading to Montreal. Alex Newhook returning to the Canadian lineup for the first time since November 13th. Looking at Ilya Sorokin versus Samuel Montembeault. Looking on the money line here. The Islanders are plus 130 road dogs. Canadians minus 155 at home. Total is 6.5 here. What is your take on this one?
Is that total 6.5?
I mean, for me, I would lean under there, but
Yeah,
tell
that's
me.
let's smash that under because Ilya Sorokin has been fantastic. This is their first meeting of the season. So even though both teams are coming out of the break here, yes, Montreal's offense is good, but the shot volume is not where it needs to be. The Montreal Canadiens are actually a little bit better team on the road at scoring goals. So at home, it's just not the same. And I don't think the Islanders are going to get run out of the building tonight. It's this could be one of those things again. Patrick Waugh has no problem pulling his goalie with like 7 minutes left. So unfortunately the empty net goal could bite, but I see this as being a very, balanced kind of game. It probably might finish 3-1, something like that. Montreal's got a good power play. And on the other side, the Islanders have an excellent penalty kill. Habs penalty kill, nothing great. Islanders for the last 3 years can't figure out the power play. There's no offense to be generated there. So I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair. And Montembeault he's still working to it, but he was having some success before the break. Maybe, a little mind reset helps him out here. So I'm gonna take the under. 6.5 is just, it feels way too high, especially with Sorokin on the other side. Like even if Montembeault gives up a ton, I don't see Montreal scoring a ton on Sorokin.
Montreal, one of the top over teams in the league. The Islanders, one of the best under teams in the league, including being 19-11 to the under on the road. Third stingiest team in the league in terms of goals allowed there. In terms of scoring, Montreal is the third best in terms of goals scored. The Islanders down towards the bottom of the pack in terms of goals scored themselves. So yeah, under 6.5 minus 130 is where I'm going. You're going. So if they lose tonight, that's probably why, because we saw eye to eye. If that was
Listen, it's going to be 3-2 after the first period. Now that I said nice things about both goalies, like Sorokin's, like Montembeault's going to give up a goal on the first shot. Like that's how it's going to be because I said nice things about him.
Next up on the docket, Devils at Penguins. At Ant Rivera 86, not here today as he's got World Baseball. He is, elbow deep in World Baseball Classic coverage. Make sure you go check out the at Subway to Shea podcast there and give him some love as he takes care of that stuff. But back to the game tonight, Devils at Penguins. Devils are on a 4-game losing streak here. Only 3 goals scored during that span. Pittsburgh is 14-3-3 over their last 20 games, second most points in the NHL overall since December 28th. It's going to be Jacob Markstrom versus Artur Shilovs. Of course, no Sidney Crosby here. That's going to be the big story. But you know what? How awful the Devils have been lately. And I know it's no Crosby, but I think you got Pittsburgh that wants to maybe prove like, hey, we can win without Crosby. I'd lean under here, but I like the Penguins in regulation, minus 105 at DraftKings here. I think Pittsburgh's this is a better team, even without Crosby, still a better team than the Devils. And the Devils just have no reason. They've given me no reason to back them here over the last, 7 games, we'll say.
Devils are giving fans no reason to back them at all this year. They're just not a very good hockey team. And now Jacob Markstrom comes into the picture, and he's not very good this year. So the loss of Sidney Crosby does hurt, but over the course of the last 20 years, every time Crosby is out, Malkin all of a sudden steps up. He's like, hey, I got this. Don't worry about it. And Malkin's been putting together a very, very good season. He had a lot of time off now, so his body feels good. Letang's going to be back in the lineup. I mean, this is as healthy, I guess, as they can be. I don't love that it's Shilovs in net, but like I'll deal with it kind of thing. I'm like, all right, we'll go down this path, but I can't trust the Devils on a back-to-back. So I will also take them in regulation. That is the only play I'm willing to swallow. I'm not swallowing the Penguins money line. Not at that money. You're not going to convince me that that's a good idea. So that's where we're standing.
Penguins money line is minus 162. Devils, if you think they could pull off the upset, plus 136. Totals 5.5 there. If you wanted to make a play there. I could see that game going under, but I much would rather take the Penguins in regulation. So there we go. The 7 o'clock Eastern puck drops. We're halfway through the slate. Get into 8 o'clock here. We got the Blackhawks at the Predators. Chicago's 1-4-2 in their last 7. They are 1-for-22 on the power play during that 7-game stretch. Steven Stamkos, we talked a little bit about earlier, 24 goals in the last 35 games during a 20-12-3 run for the Preds. It's going to be Spencer Knight versus It's going to be a game time decision here, whether it's UC Saros or whether it's Justice Anun in here. As Saros coming back from the Olympics there, see what he does. Um, we've talked about how good Spencer Knight's been this year, but not lately. 1-3-1 in his last 5, 319 goals against, 864 save percentage. I know neither team is really great at scoring, but neither team really defends well either. Knight also has allowed 3 or more goals in his 6 starts since January 19th. Nashville has gotten a push or gone over this total in 20 of their last 12. Give me the over 6 minus 120 at Caesars. That's where I'm heading here.
I am going to take the Predators puck line. Spencer Knight on the road is not as good as Spencer Knight at home. The Preds can generate some shots on home ice. It's not always pretty. They've had a lot of difficulty finishing, right? That's where the big issue comes in here. But it seems like most of their lineup is healthy. I'm gonna go out here on a limb and say, like, I'm hoping it's UC Saros, because even though he's been bad, he's still the better option. And Chicago on the road, just like, they don't generate a lot of shots, and then they go on the road and they do even worse. Like, they bleed opportunities. They're not structured enough. We'll see what that lineup looks like, how many guys are, able to keep up. But coming out of the gate here, I just think Nashville can go out there, and it may not be all run and gun right from the start. It may start close, but as the game progresses, there's more than enough skill on that Nashville team when healthy to find the back of the net. So I'll take the puck line. We might need an empty net goal to get there. We'll hope the hockey gods come and party with us here. So puck line, and then pray to a hockey god.
Best number I'm seeing is plus 150 on the Preds, minus a puck and a half there over at DraftKings. If you want to grab the money line, is minus 175. Blackhawks plus 145. Total is either 6 or 6.5, depending upon where you look. So I take that over 6 and have a little more confidence there versus the 6.5. So in the 8 o'clock Eastern window now, here's a game that probably neither of us are going to flip to at any point tonight. The Kraken at the Blues. The Seattle Kraken have a 67.9% road penalty kill, second worst in the NHL. Dylan Holloway coming back for the Blues tonight. Looking at a Joel Hofer, likely versus Philip Grubauer here, since the cord led last night for the Kraken. I'm staying away from this just terrible matchup.
I can't think of a game I've cared less about than this one. I don't know how this game is going to get any ratings at all. I don't know who's if you're not a Kraken and a Blues fan, I don't know why you would watch this. Two of the most mediocre hockey teams offensively, of course. The Kraken are just so bad offensively. I don't know why anybody is watching them. Again, unless you're a fan, if you enjoy pain and misery, I mean, listen, tune in, man. It's going to be a game, but I'm not tuning into this one, not even close.
Total's 5.5. If you think it's going to be that ugly and an under, plus 105, slight, plus money there. Blues are minus 142 favorites, Kraken plus 120. So if you think maybe the Kraken have a little bit of a better matchup tonight, a little road value there, but no way am I touching this game. Not a chance.
No.
We move on. The last of the 8 o'clock Eastern puck drops. My New York Rangers back in the mix tonight. So is Igor Shesterkin. He's going to get the start. Looking like going to be Samuel Ersson from the Flyers. Philly is winless in 13 of their last 16. Shesterkin's first game back since January 5th. Looking at here on the money line or anything like that, Rangers minus 142 home favorites, Flyers plus 120. Excuse me. Total is 5.5 here, although minus 135 for the over, so that may creep up to 6 before puck drop, depending upon where money comes in. Listen, I'm not taking the Rangers on the money line that often this season, but with Shesterkin coming back to the lineup tonight, I could see them getting a boost from that. The Rangers are one of the top under teams at home, and despite Philly being the second best over team on the road, I think Shesterkin negates that. So I would lean the under 6 minus 110 here that I saw a little while ago, but now 5.5 at a lot of books. So
listen. I mean, Artemi Panarin still leads that team in points. That's all you need to know about it. But Igor Shesterkin comes back. It sounds like Adam Fox is also going to play, or is at least possibly maybe going to. The Philadelphia Flyers are just a collection of mid. They don't shoot. Fox is back. Okay. So the Flyers, they don't shoot the puck a ton. They don't give up a lot of chances. It's just a boring game all around. Yet these teams have combined to score 9 goals in each of their last 2 meetings. I don't know what I'm going to get here, but I'm going to take the Rangers money line because I gotta believe in Shesterkin over Earson. Like that to me is where the difference is going to be made. So, I mean, Vladar has been good this year. Earson is not. He's got an 856 save percentage. Like that's got to be the worst amongst qualifying goalies. So if that's what we're working with here for the Flyers, who again, once they fall behind, that's good luck. The team just doesn't. They don't take a lot of shots, yet their goal total is elevated. So that usually means they're lucky. Their power play is egregious. So I expect a low event game, which probably favors the Rangers. And it's again, sounds like everybody's going to be in there. Trocheck should be playing. It sounds like Miller's going to be playing. Zibanejad, all these guys who were over, in Italy for the Olympics. I will take the Rangers. 142 is tolerable. I will do that.
I was able to get it at minus 132 earlier in the day, so I'm going to stick with that. So that's I'm happy with that. But yeah, Fox is back too. Hence, that's probably why he jumped up to minus 142, because earlier in the day when I looked, no, Fox was confirmed. Now he is. So, and while you were talking about that game, I had to go and get him off my IR and into a lineup. Another, Adam Fox or Cam York. Which one do you want to play?
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's a lot of choices to be made there.
Now that's the 3 8:00 games. We got 3 more games to go. So we are 9 games through this 12-game slate. Thank you for joining us here on Total Hockey Now, whether it's live or you're watching on a slight staggered replay or delay. We go through all 12 games. Right now, of the 9 we've previewed, we've given you at least one pick from every game except for Kraken Blues. Understandable. Wild at Avalanche. Can't be a Western Conference final preview unless one of them falls into the wild card somehow. So a second round preview, we'll call it, potentially, for the Central Division here. Wild are on a 5-game winning streak, and they've gotten 4+ goals in each of those. Kirill Kaprizov, 7 goals, 11 assists over his last 10. Avs are going for 3 in a row. McKinnon is expected to be back in the lineup after not playing in Utah last night. Looking at Philip Gustafson versus Mackenzie Blackwood. Now, my initial instinct when you look at this game is like, oh, Minnesota's not on a back-to-back. Colorado is. Not that Salt Lake City and Denver's that far away, but it's still traveling after playing a game. Philip Gustafson is 2-7-1 in 10 career starts against the Avalanche with a 3.81 goals against and an 8.87 save percentage. You're going to have a pissed off Nathan McKinnon tonight. See if he, rips, if he brings his little stuffed animal that he was so thrilled to get at the end of the Olympics there when he got the silver medal. I'm taking the Avs to win in regulation at even money on DraftKings there tonight. That's what I'm doing.
That stuff did not make it back to the United States.
I hope he tossed it to like a kid in the stands or something.
It's in a garbage can. There's no way it made it. I'm excited for this matchup. Not gonna lie. McKinnon being rested, I think that was strategic. I think that works out well. Goes back to Denver. Even though it's a back-to-back, like I still think that we are gonna see a decent amount of scoring chances go both ways. Colorado they were lights out on home ice. They came down to earth a little bit here. Gabriel Landeskog's back in the lineup, and the Colorado Avalanche really struggled when he was out of it. That's when things just seemed a little bit out of sync. Now, the Wild, as good as they are, can be a little kind of, streaky at times. I don't want to take the over, even though I feel like that's probably very, very possible. Getting Colorado at even money in regulation feels like something we have not seen at home in what feels like an eternity. So I'm going to go right down that path with you. I'm going to take them in regulation. And you know what? Just because it's Thursday, like I'll also take the over. There's so much skill. There's so much goal, so much going on. You said it was Blackwood or Wedgwood? Which wood is it?
It's going to be Blackwood tonight. Wedgwood went last night.
Even as good as Blackwood has been, I still think that, Minnesota and their offense can get it done. So again, I'm going to go with the over. I think we see some guys, making it happen. But Man, this is the game I want to watch. You know what I mean? Like you could be watching Blues and Kraken, or maybe make dinner and then start watching the 9 o'clock game where you get to watch real hockey teams play.
Now there is still a 6 out there, -130. That one over at BetMGM. If you wanted to maybe just take that extra half goal insurance there, but it's 6.5 across the board. Otherwise,
Which
this
makes
is
sense.
you start off with Lightning Hurricanes, and then once that winds down, you flip over, maybe miss a few minutes of the first period of Wild Avalanche, and then this is the one that takes you at least till your third period of one of the two games we talk about here. So Chris is going to jump on the regulation even money with the Avalanche there. He's looking at the over 2. Flames at Sharks. Here we go. We got Dustin Wolf making his return to the South Bay. He's a Gilroy, California native. You are unaware, one of the garlic capitals of the world. Actually smells like garlic when you're on the highway going through there. Looking at Flames have won 13 of 15 against the Sharks in their last 15 meetings. Sharks are on a 4-game winless streak, 0-3-1. That's their longest winless streak since they started the year, 0-4-2. Sharks are 14-9-3 at home. This is the first of a 6-game homestand. I get to go to 2 of those home games. I'll be at the Oilers game Saturday and Islanders next Saturday night. I'm going to take the under 6.5 here, -118. This normally makes sense for a Dustin Wolf road start, but he has a 9-2 career record against the Sharks. He gets it up for the Sharks. Doesn't matter home or road. The 218 goals against, 912 save percentage, 3-1 at SAP Center. Askarov 1-2 with the 204 goals against and a 938 save percentage against the Flames here. This is my best bet for the night. I would even consider a Sharks money line play here too, but under 6.5 -118. Give me this all day.
Oh, listen, it's all Sharks here tonight. The Calgary Flames have no off. Who's scoring? There's no Huberdeau because he was like, well, fix this in my, what is it, knee? So he's like, whatever. It's just Logan. Listen, I don't know what happens to Wolf when he leaves the Saddle Dome, but it's like, what is it? The one where the girl loses, she has to get her glass slipper back by midnight. Yeah,
Oh, Cinderella.
Cinderella, right?
You mean that fairy tale that's like as old as time? We don't know that one off the top of it.
Listen. I'm aging.
That has
now.
nothing to do with me being a daddy.
You would have you would know because you know what I mean. Like you have proximity to it. I haven't watched Cinderella and whatever, but I do know that the chariot turns into a pumpkin, and that's what happens when Dustin Wolf leaves Saddle Dome. He turns into a pumpkin at the wrong time. I will take San Jose. Their money line because that is way too kind against a Flames team that can't score. I get it's the Sharks, but they play better on home ice, and the Flames are just not good. So that I'm going to go one step further here as well. You can play one or the other, or if you're a degenerate like me, you play both. I want to take the Sharks puck line as well. +190 in some spots, -1.5. You're telling me that the Sharks can't get an empty net goal to seal the deal? Yeah, give it to me.
I could see a little looking ahead to Edmonton on Saturday with McDavid coming to town is the only thing that maybe I still think they win, but the Edmonton on Saturday makes me maybe back off the puck line a tiny bit, but I agree. I like the Sharks money line there. Got some comments on the chat weighing in here. Creeping Death. The Flames have been snuffed. I can't see any surprises to end the season. I think we all agree there. Calgary's, they'll play till the trade deadline and then they'll pack it in. Also, he says Avs are full steam ahead. Our buddy Craig checking in the Silver Fox. Kaprizov scores more goals versus the Avs than any other team. He'll be raring to go after no Olympics. Nate will be eager to prove that he could still find the back of an open net. So Craig making the case for the over 6.5 there tonight.
Damn, Craig just right out here with a full blindside hit. It feels like a Radko Gudas hit you from behind there. Yes, Nate's going to score in an empty net tonight just to help facilitate everything. Though I didn't know Kaprizov scored more goals versus the Avs than any other team, so it sounds like Kaprizov anytime goal is just bound to happen. That's what I understand from there. That's what I get. And listen, a pissed off Nate McKinnon is the best kind of Nate McKinnon. I wouldn't want, you know what I mean? He's pissed off and he's going to have to take it out on, Philip Gustafsson and the rest of the gang, who was not good for Sweden. So if that was a preview, that it could be a very long night for Philip Gustafsson.
So 2-7-1 for Gustafsson against the Avalanche all time there. So that's not boding well for him. Just finish up Flames at Sharks. Now the last game of the night, We got the Oilers at the Kings. Both of these teams are on back-to-backs. Edmonton had played in Anaheim last night. The Kings played the Knights last night. Oilers are on a 4-game losing streak. They're 2-4-4 in the second game of back-to-backs this season. McDavid, 13 goals and 19 assists in his last 20 versus the Kings. Kings are also on a 4-game winless streak, but they are 5-2-3 on the second leg of back-to-backs. Assuming it's going to be Darcy Kemper tonight for the Kings with Anton Forsberg going last night. With Edmonton pulling Tristan Jarry and going to Connor Ingram last night in the third, I don't know who they plan on starting tonight. It'll probably be Ingram, but maybe they decide to give Jarry another chance. I have no idea who's going to win this game, but I'm taking the over 6.5 minus 110. I got a feeling we're going to see some offense tonight. I know LA is one of the better under teams in the league. Edmonton's the second best over team in the league, and 5 of their 6 playoff meetings last year went over this total. Both teams are on a back-to-back. I think you're just going to get I don't think you're going to get a ton of defense in this one.
I was hoping you'd help guide me into taking the under, but clearly you have other ideas. It's because like Edmonton just let Anaheim pound them, and then I mean I don't know how the Kings lost to an AHL roster.
That was a little concerning. I don't know Fiala, but
I feel like both these teams want to come out and be like have a little bit more importance to the defensive side and wanting to not give up so many chances. So and Kemper has been good all year, and Ingram is the least worst of the goalies. So that's not saying much, but he's the least worst. And even though he can, think about how bad Jerry was in Knoblauch's eyes to be like, buddy, the game was tied, and he's like, hit the showers and let Ingram finish this up, who, by the way, had to take the L. Like, poor Ingram. You know what I mean? I want to lean under just because I think the goaltending matchup is decent enough, but I can't get there. I can't get it all the way up for that.
And the thing about what you're saying about Jarry getting pulled is when you get into high-scoring games like that, usually the goalie, if both goalies are giving up goals, it's like, all right, fine, it's going to be one of those nights, unless the goalie is just miserable and you could just see something like, no, got to get him out of there. So maybe that was what was seen last night, because Dostal played well. I mean, I know he gave up 5 goals and it was a little rough there, through 2 periods, or 4-2 Edmonton at that point. That's one of those matchups, by the way, where just smash the over every time whenever they play.
It was 4-2. Think about it. It was 4-2 Edmonton, right? And they still lost. And Jerry got, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he got a mercy pull either. I don't think he's starting. I would love for Tristan Jarry to be back in that net, because then we could just smash the over and move on. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm doing the under. I'm wrong or I'm a genius. And I'm assuming I'm going to be wrong. But I don't know, man. This is an opportunity for Ingram to have another good start, maybe get a couple more down the stretch, right? It's a home game for the Oilers. The Kings have been good on the road. No, they haven't.
Everybody's got 6.5 here across the board, and there's no heavy juice one way or the other. It's pretty, in most books right now for the 6.5 in that game, the over is the slight favorite, but yeah, I don't think
under 6.5. That's right. Like, even if Edmonton gets, Edmonton's power play can do damage, but the Kings aren't an undisciplined team. So I don't know. I will stick with the under. I just want you to know that I'm very uncomfortable with it.
Another reason I'm going over here is if, they played the Coachella Valley Thunderbirds and not the Vegas Golden Knights last night, the Kings, and they gave up 6 goals to an AHL squad. They scored 4 themselves. Edmonton has defensive problems. We all know that. So,
hey, listen, I was told that, Canada might have had a better chance of winning gold if Evan Bouchard was on that team. And I was like, okay, sure. Whatever, I guess.
Not that Josh Morrissey got hurt. Not that, your leader and Crosby got hurt and missed the last, not that. It was Evan Bouchard. That was the X factor. That was the missing piece of the puzzle for Canada.
That's what they needed. More Evan Bouchard on the ice. That would have helped.
Yeah, there you go. That's what. So there we go. We ran through all 12 games. Let's recap the picks here. As we just talked about, Chris is going to take the under 6.5 in Kings Oilers. I'm taking the over 6.5. Flames Sharks. I like the under 6.5 in the Sharks money line. Chris is going to double dip on the Sharks money line and the Sharks puck line there. Wild at Avalanche. We're both on the Avalanche to win in regulation at even money. Chris likes the over as well. Rangers Flyers. We're both on the Rangers money line here, minus 132. Well, Chris got it at minus 142 because it was after the Adam Fox news. Both staying away from Kraken Blues. That's the one game you got no pick from tonight. Don't be mad. You handicap the game. You tell us. I got no idea. We got the Blackhawks Predators. I'm taking the over 6. You got the Predators puck line. Devils Penguins. I'm going to take the Penguins in regulation to win. Did you say you were going to tail me on that one too, I think?
Penguins in regulation. Yes,
there
sir.
We go. Islanders at Canadians. I'm staying. You could talk me into the under 6.5. So we're riding the under there. I'm staying away from Leafs Panthers, but you got the Panthers to win in regulation at minus 105. I've got the Red Wings money line plus 132. I forget what you're doing in that one if you're staying away or taking anything.
Nothing there.
Staying away. And then I keep track of everything here. And then Blue Jackets Bruins, we both got the over 6.5. And then finally Lightning and Hurricanes. I'm going to stay away, lean over 6. You like the under 6.5 minus 130. So there we go. We just ran the board. Just gave you all the picks for tonight. See how we do.
It's honestly, I don't know where I went wrong except for the last one. That's where it is. You know, when you feel something and you're like, it feels wrong, but I'm going to do it anyways.
I again, just with the way those Kings Oilers meetings have gone, those were some exciting playoff games too. Because no lead was safe either way. It didn't matter. Both they were going up and down the rink. Interesting to see how Panarin alters that dynamic. Now, before we get out of here, got to do some housekeeping, I should say. Of course, we mentioned earlier our buddy at Ant Rivera 86 not here today. The Subway to Shea podcast. It's going to be a lot of all world baseball classic there for the next few weeks as they get ready to go. The Slapshot podcast. I know an episode of that just came out. What was on that one?
Listen, we recovered mentally from the Olympics a little bit, kind of reminding people that Canada was the better team and that the Americans ended up winning. It was not a political show because we just let the world deal with it in itself. And then I opened a couple of, I had some Tim Hortons hockey cards, so I opened those. Some fantastic players coming out of there. And then I read some mean TikTok comments, and man, those were a gift. Those were just some of the best stuff. The comment section continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. I read one comment. You're gonna have to go for the rest of it, but someone thought that McDavid was the problem, and I was like, okay, man. Like, I've never seen every sentence be wrong, but this person did it, and I was impressed, to say the least.
I can't recall a time in Connor McDavid's career where you look at him and go, he's been the problem.
I couldn't either, and everything was wrong, even the spelling of certain things. I was like, the whole thing was wrong, and I was like, man, I can't. There are people that wake up and believe this. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to think the Earth's flat, like, all right, whatever, haha. But this man looked at that whole. I don't know. I think he was commenting on the gold medal game, but even at that, looking at the whole thing and going, yeah, Connor McDavid was definitely he's the one. I think he said he should have been benched or something. I was like, yeah, that's the guy. That's the problem. Putting
bench your captain in a gold medal game. What a look.
They're like, he's the captain. I was like, first of all, Sid was, but per double IHF rules, you need one. So yes. He was the next one up. But you're right. He was the problem for not only his country, but for the Oilers. The Oilers suck because of Connor McDavid. It was honestly fantastic. So you should probably watch it, but I'm biased.
I'm going to have to go check out the hockey card you pulled on that. And of course, also fantasyalarm.com/NHL to get Chris's picks on other days of the week, as well as the great Josh Wagner there. Rip and Riff was back this week with myself and at Mr. Jared Moore, talking plenty of Olympic hockey and even dove into a little basketball there. Back with you again on Monday with an all-new episode. Love to rip packs and just talk about whatever's going on in the world of sports. But that does it for this episode of Total Hockey Now, here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. Good news is we're back to our Thursday schedule. We'll be back on March 5th, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Yes, we're going to run the board that day and do our pick. That is going to be pretty much all trade deadline preview. How many games we got next Thursday? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games. We definitely have a little more time until deadline playing 8-game Thursday slate. But for at Fuzzy Chris 91, I'm at Pucking Thoughts Adam Bernard with you with an all-new episode of Total Hockey Now next week on the Total Hockey Now channel. Thanks for watching, folks.